This is the original Call of Duty, released in 2003 before franchises chased trends, optics, or online outrage. What you see here is a World War II shooter that portrays combat exactly as it chooses to. Men fighting, dying, and advancing across history's bloodiest battlefields. There are no operators, no modern politics, and no messaging layered on top. Just soldiers, orders, and survival. This isn't a statement against anyone, it's a snapshot of how this game was designed, what it focused on, and why it still feels different today. So let's go back, mission by mission, and look at the Call of Duty that started it all. So, before the game throws you into any kind of war action or anything along those lines, you actually go through a boot camp, and within the boot camp you learn the game's mechanics, you learn the kind of guns, the targets to shoot, you learn about the timed objectives, where you plant a bomb and you got 5 seconds to run away. The game introduces all these mechanics and prepares you for war. We begin the war in the dark, dropping behind enemy lines hours before D-Day. The jump goes wrong immediately. Paratroopers are scattered, planes are hit, and you land alone in enemy territory. This mission sets the tone for Call of Duty's grounded storytelling. There's no glory here, just confusion, regrouping, and survival. You move through the fields and small farmhouses, linking up with other airborne troops while German patrols search the countryside. It's slow, tense, and deliberately quiet, emphasizing how isolated airborne units were before the main invasion began. American paratroopers start pushing through the French countryside. Small villages and hedgerows become deadly choke points as German troops defend every road and farmhouse. You move carefully, clearing buildings and eliminating resistance while staying connected with your squad. The fighting is close, tense, and personal. This is no longer a stealth insertion, but an all-out fight to gain control of the areas. The battle continues at first light as German forces attempt to regroup and counterattack. You advance through open fields and narrow roads, while artillery fire and machine guns keep pressure high. Communication and coordination are key as you push deeper into enemy territory. This mission emphasizes momentum. If you hesitate, the enemy regains ground. Every position you take brings Allied forces closer to stabilizing the Normandy front. After heavy fighting, you're briefly transported through hostile territory in a vehicle convoy. What starts as a routine ride quickly turns into an ambush. Enemy fire erupts from all sides, forcing you to react fast while under constant pressure. Though short, this mission captures the unpredictability of war. Even moments meant for rest can turn deadly in seconds. Inspired by a real historical assault, this mission tasks you with taking out heavily defended German artillery battery that threatens the Normandy landings. You must approach carefully, eliminate gun crews, and sabotage each artillery position one by one. Enemy reinforcements respond quickly, turning the area into a deadly maze of trenches and gunfire. It's tense, tactical mission that highlights a small unit leadership and precision under pressure. The war shifts to a precision raid behind enemy lines. British SAS commandos assault a heavily guarded estate where Captain Price is being held captive. The mission begins with an attack on the outer guardhouse before pushing into the main building under heavy resistance. Tight hallways and staircases turn the fight into brutal close quarters combat as you clear the estate room by room. Once Captain Price is located and rescued, the operation immediately turns into a fight for survival. German forces close in fast, forcing a rapid escape under fire. This mission highlights elite warfare, fast, focused, and deadly, where success depends on coordination and precision rather than overwhelming force. The next mission begins with a covert infiltration into Gulag IIIA, a heavily guarded German prison camp. Moving quietly through the compound, British SAS soldiers eliminate guards and sabotage defenses while avoiding full detection. As the operation unfolds, the situation escalates quickly. The stealth approach gives a way to open combat as alarms are raised and German troops flood the camp. With enemy forces closing in from all sides, the mission shifts into survival. You're forced to dig and hold your position, fighting wave after wave of attackers for 5 intense minutes. This mission captures the chaos of a raid gone loud, where precision gives way to endurance and holding the line becomes the only way out. The focus now shifts back to the opening hours of the Normandy invasion. Allied airborne forces launch a sudden assault on a key bridge near Bonneville, a critical objective that must be captured and held intact. The attack is fast and aggressive. You push across open ground, under fire, clearing German defenders from entrenched positions and fortified buildings around the bridge. Enemy resistance is heavy, but momentum is everything. Securing the bridge prevents German reinforcements from reaching the beaches and helps protect the invasion force below. This mission highlights the importance of speed and surprise, where holding a single structure can determine the success of an entire operation. After capturing the bridge at Dawnville, the mission shifts defense as daylight exposes your position. German forces launch immediate counterattacks, determined to retake the crossing. Waves of infantry push forward while tanks roll in to break your defenses. You're forced to hold the bridge using limited cover, anti-tank weapons, and coordinated fire with allied troops. The pressure is constant and every attack tests your ability to hold the line. This mission emphasizes endurance over assault, proving that taking an objective is only half the battle and keeping it can be even harder.
I believe that's the last of them. Excellent work, lads. Bloody well done.
The next mission shifts deep behind enemy lines into the Bavarian Alps. British commandos infiltrate a heavily guarded dam, a critical piece of German infrastructure supporting operations across the region. Stealth is key as you move through patrols, eliminating guards, and planting explosives throughout the facility. One mistake can alert the entire complex and turn the operation into a firefight. As the charges are set, tension rises. The success of the mission depends on precision and timing rather than brute force. When the explosives detonate, the dam is destroyed, dealing a major blow to German supply lines and marking the end of the British campaign's covert operations. After sabotaging the dam, the operation turns into a desperate escape. British commandos hijack a truck and attempt to flee through enemy territory before German forces can close in. The getaway is anything but clean. German soldiers pursue you relentlessly on motorcycles and vehicles, attacking from all sides as the road ahead becomes increasingly dangerous. With explosions, ambushes, and constant gunfire, survival depends on speed and precision while fighting on the move. This mission captures pure chaos, where escape replaces stealth and every second alive feels earned.
I don't bloody believe it.
Exposed on an airfield as Allied forces prepare for extraction. With a plane inbound, your objective is simple. Hold the position long enough to get out and survive. German forces attack relentlessly, pushing in the form of multiple directions while using heavy firepower to overwhelm the defenses. Anti-air guns become critical as enemy pressure continues to build. You're forced to defend open ground with limited cover, relying on coordination and firepower to survive. This mission emphasizes last stand warfare, where holding the line for just a few more minutes is the difference between escape and capture.
Oh, right here.
The next operation takes a covert turn as Allied forces infiltrate a German boat while disguised as enemy soldiers. Surrounded by German troops, you're forced to blend in and move carefully to avoid raising suspicion.
Ihre Papiere mal sehen? Ich muss das überprüfen. Einen Moment bitte. Ich habe einen Offizier hier. Sagt, habe Papiere.
The undercover operation doesn't stay quiet for long. Once your cover is blown, the mission immediately turns violent as fighting erupts aboard a German vessel. Tight quarters and narrow decks force brutal close-quarters combat, while German troops scramble to stop the escape. With nowhere to retreat, every push forward is earned inch by inch. As the situation spirals out of control, the objective becomes clear: fight your way off the ship and survive. This mission highlights deception over firepower, showing how intelligence and disguise can be just as powerful as weapons behind enemy lines.
Comrades, this day will be the proudest day you have ever lived. You will fight the fascist Nazi invaders with all your strength. For each and every...
The war now shifts to the Eastern Front, where the scale and brutality reach a new level. Soviet forces across the Volga River under relentless German fire, packed tightly onto boats with no protection and no retreat. As shells rain down and soldiers fall into the river, the reality of the Eastern Front becomes clear. Survival is uncertain before the battle even begins. Orders are simple and unforgiving: move forward no matter the cost. This mission sets the tone for the Soviet campaign, showing a war of desperation, sacrifice, and overwhelming human loss unlike anything seen before. After surviving the chaotic landing on the Volga, the Soviet pushes deeper into Stalingrad. The next objective is Red Square, but getting there means crossing one of the most dangerous open battlefields imaginable. German machine guns are positioned across the square, cutting down wave after wave of advancing soldiers. Soviet troops are forward, regardless of their losses, charging through smoke, rubble, and constant gunfire. The mission captures the sheer scale of brutality of the Eastern Front. Explosions shake the ground, artillery shells crash into buildings, and soldiers fall all around you as the assault continues. Red Square is finally in Soviet hands, but the battle for Stalingrad is far from over. The fighting is now moving deeper into the city. After securing the Red Square, Soviet forces push further into the city toward a critical objective: the Stalingrad train station. Control of the rail lines is essential for moving supplies and reinforcements, making it a major strategic target for both sides. The fighting here is intense and chaotic. German forces dug into buildings and defense positions around the station, forcing Soviet troops to fight through streets, rubble, and shattered rail carts. Combat becomes much closer here than in the previous mission. Instead of wide open charges, every hallway, platform, and piece of cover hides an enemy. As the battle pushes through the station, the Soviet troops continue tightening their grip on the city, slowly forcing German forces to give ground. With the train station secured, Soviet forces continue pushing deeper into Stalingrad, but instead of advancing through the open streets, the next move takes us underground into the city's sewer system. The tunnels offer a way to move beneath German defenses, but they're far from safe. Visibility is low, corridors are tight, and enemies can appear from almost any direction. Fighting here is completely different from the massive battles above ground. Every corner has to be checked, every tunnel cleared, and a constant echo of gunfire makes it impossible to know where the next attack will come from. It's a tense and claustrophobic mission that shows another side of the brutal fighting in Stalingrad. After fighting through the sewer tunnels, Soviet forces emerge back into ruined streets of Stalingrad. The next objective is a heavily contested building known as Pavlov's house. During the real Battle of Stalingrad, the building became a symbol of the Soviet resistance. A small group of soldiers held it for weeks against German attacks, turning the structure into a fortress in the middle of the city. In this mission, Soviet troops move in to secure the building and defend it from incoming German forces. Machine guns are set up in the windows, defensive positions are established, and the building became quickly a stronghold. As waves of German troops attempt to retake it, the fight turns into a desperate defense, proving how important a single building could be during the brutal battle for Stalingrad. After holding Pavlov's house against repeated German attacks, the Soviet forces continue their advance deeper into Stalingrad. The next objective is the city's industrial district, where massive factories have turned into battlefields. These buildings once produced equipment for the Soviet war effort, but now they're filled with rubble, broken machinery, and entrenched German soldiers. Fighting inside factories is brutal and chaotic. Visibility is limited, gunfire echoes through the metal structures, and enemies can appear from catwalks, stairways, or behind heavy equipment. The battle for Stalingrad was fought building by building, and factories were some of the most heavily contested areas of the entire city. With the factory district secured, Soviet forces continue pushing through Stalingrad. The next objective is the Railyard, a key transportation hub for both sides, depending on moving supplies, weapons, and reinforcements. The area is packed with freight trains, rail cars, and damaged equipment, creating a maze of cover and ambush points. German troops are using the Railyard's layout to their advantage, firing from behind train cars and defensive positions scattered across the tracks. The battle here is fast and unpredictable. Every rail car, platform, and cargo stack could hide enemy soldiers. Securing the Railyard cuts off another major supply route, and pushes Soviet forces even closer to fully reclaiming Stalingrad. After weeks of brutal fighting through the ruins of Stalingrad, Soviet forces finally begin pushing the German army back. The battle now moves from shattered city streets into open countryside. In this mission, we take control of a Soviet tank as part of a larger armored advance. Instead of fighting building to building, the battlefield opens up into fields, roads, and scattered villages. German defenses are still strong, with anti-tank guns, infantry, and enemy armor trying to stop the Soviet push. Tank combat brings a completely different pace to the battle, heavier firepower, larger explosions, and a much wider battlefield. This marks a turning point in the campaign as Soviet forces begin driving west toward Germany. After pushing through the countryside, Soviet armored forces continue their advance toward the next objective. This time the battle moves into a town where German troops have set up strong defensive positions. Tank warfare becomes much more dangerous here. The narrow streets, damaged buildings, and tight corners create perfect hiding spots for German infantry and anti-tank weapons. Soviet tanks push forward carefully, blasting through barricades and engaging enemy armor while infantry support helps clear the streets. The battle is chaotic and loud, with explosions echoing through the town as both sides fight for control. Each block cleared brings Soviet forces one step closer to the final stages of war. The next mission drops us into the frozen northeast of Bastogne, Belgium. Visibility is low, the terrain is rough, and German troops are hidden throughout the trees and inside bunkers. The objective here is to push through the forest and clear out enemy defensive positions. The trees create a lot of cover so enemies can appear from almost anywhere. Combat in this mission is slower and more cautious than the city battles earlier in the campaign. You have to move carefully, watch the tree line, and deal with enemy soldiers positioned throughout the woods. Once the area is cleared, the advance continues deeper into German territory. After pushing through the forest near Bastogne, the next objective is German rocket facility. The area is heavily defended with German troops guarding the site and trying to prevent Allied forces from reaching the launch area. This mission focuses on pushing through enemy defenses and clearing the compound. German forces are positioned around buildings, trenches, and defensive positions throughout the base. As the advance continues, the goal is to move through the facility, eliminate remaining defenders, and secure the area so the operation can move forward. This is the final mission of the campaign. Soviet forces have reached Berlin and are now advancing toward the Reichstag. The building is heavily defended, with German soldiers holding positions throughout the streets and inside the structure itself. The objective is to push through the remaining defenses, fight through the building, and reach the top. Combat is intense. Enemies appear from windows, stairwells, and hallways, while Soviet troops continue advancing floor by floor. After clearing the final defenders, the mission ends with Soviet soldiers raising their flag above the Reichstag, marking an end to the campaign. And that brings us to the end of the original Call of Duty campaign. The game takes us across some of the most intense battles of World War II, following 3 different armies fighting across Europe. The journey begins with American paratroopers dropping behind enemy lines in Normandy, fighting through small French towns and helping secure positions after the D-Day invasion. From there, the campaign shifts to the British commandos carrying out dangerous operations, from holding Pegasus Bridge to sabotaging enemy positions and attacking heavily defended locations across occupied France. Finally, the story moves to the Eastern Front, where Soviet forces fight through the ruins of Stalingrad, pushing street by street through factories, rail yards, and supply depots before driving German forces westward. The war continues through frozen forests, rocket facilities, and armored battles before ending with a final assault on Berlin and raising the Soviet flag over the Reichstag. From Normandy to Berlin, the original Call of Duty delivered a full World War II campaign that helped define the series.